And we're live.
Hooray!
Hello, YouTube. Geekly Dose crew here. We're back to record a new episode. As always, we know it's been a while, but thank you guys for sticking with us and bearing with our ever-changing schedules and whatnot. We normally do bonus content for anybody who's watching this that won't air on the actual podcast episode. But I'm sad to say that we don't have any this time. So you don't be mad for coming early because we still appreciate it. So we're actually just going to get ready and jump into the actual show itself. I mean, unless we get some kind of emergency last minute email or comment or tweet asking us to talk about something.
And you can do that at geeklydose@gmail.com yes. or Twitter @awesomepods.
That is correct.
Bam.
But yeah, we just, we didn't have anything this time. We'll figure it out for next time for you, though.
We got plenty of show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We got plenty of good goodies in this episode to talk about for you, though. So you'll still get your geek dose.
Yeah.
Lee dose. By the way, we're changing the name of the show to Geek Dose.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
Just so you're not wrong when you say it. All right, here we go with the show. Welcome to Geekly Dose. I'm your producer, Jesse Sedgley, and now your hosts, Tim Bridgewater and Caitlin Franks.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Geekly Dose, which is, of course, your number one spot for all things geek. That includes movies, games, comic books, etc. My name is Tim Bridgewater. I'm an actor and screenwriter. You can find me at facebook.com/Tim Bridgewater2. And, of course, I'm joined with my co-host, Miss Caitlin Franks.
What's up, people? It's Caitlin. I'm a mom. I'm a gamer. I'm a geek, and I do lots of fun things. And yeah, that's it. I need to build a better resume here.
Oh, it's okay. In all fairness, my resume is just, I have too much stuff. I want to remind you guys that we actually do stream these episodes live now. Of course, if you're listening to the podcast, it's not live for you, but if you go over to youtube.com/awesomepods, you can find the video of this recording. And normally we do bonus content for YouTube, but today is just one of those days where, well, frankly, we just don't have anything. So
yeah,
our apologies.
It's kind of in between in the news.
Right.
There's so many new things and there's so many old things. And there hasn't been a whole heck of a lot going on, but then at the same time there has. It's kind of a weird in between.
It's very weird
area.
It's a very weird time of year. And in the future, if you happen to have any suggestions for bonus things that we can do for that segment, as well as any of the other segments during the show, you can send us an email at geeklydose@gmail.com or
hit us up on the Twitter at Awesome Pods.
That's correct. Now, we know it's been a little while, but I feel like I have to say this every episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's at least becoming a monthly occurrence.
Right. That is accurate. It has been somewhat of a schedule the past couple of times. Right. But we're all busy and stuff, making movies and raising children and I'm just doing nothing. So
yeah, right.
Anything but, actually. It's been kind of busy. Yeah. But we'll kind of go ahead and get to the point here and kind of tell you guys about what we're going to talk about in this episode. So as always, we're going to start out with our segment called Geek Out. It's a segment where Caitlin and I will take a few moments to kind of talk about some of the more geek-related things that we have done since the last episode of the show. And then we're going to go into Caitlin actually is going to have a review for us of
Destiny. Little brief review. I got to play a little bit on 360 because we be broke people. So, but my birthday's coming up. October 27th, which is a Monday, which is about 2 weeks. So if anybody wants to get me an Xbox One, it's not going to hurt my feelings at all.
Same goes for me as with PS4.
Yeah.
Right.
The good one.
But yeah, so if you've been looking to hear our opinions on that game, Caitlin will have that for you. And then we're going to go into, we're going to talk a little bit about the Deadpool movie. There was some speculation upon that. And I don't think we ever actually talked about that at all, even the trailer that was released. So we'll kind of go back and kind of give you our opinions on that. And then we'll talk about the fact that they're actually now officially making the film. So we'll talk about that and our thoughts on that for a little bit. And then we're going to talk a little bit about these rumors, this Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. stuff that's going on. There's a lot of fluctuation and questions and concerns, and we'll get to the bottom of this and see exactly what's going on, and you can get our thoughts on that. And then, of course, this right along with the rest of the big news, they're now officially making Ghostbusters 3, and there are some things about that people are kind of reacting very strangely to, and we'll get into that when we get to that segment. And then, of course, we have to kind of talk about these shows because we talk about how much we were anticipating them. So we kind of, now that they've aired, we have to kind of give our opinions on Flash, Gotham, and such, right?
Arrow.
And Arrow, of course.
And then we've got a little bit of scuttlebutt about Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, which kind of seems like it should be covered in 80s Revisited, but we're not revisiting necessarily. So, but we'll jump into that a little bit. And then
we're going to top it off by just kind of going into a little bit of a detailed discussion of our opinions of the season premiere of Arrow.
Right.
Because, of course, that show is back, and, you know, if you've been listening, you know how much we love that show. So we have to kind of give our opinions on that.
Oh, and the Arkham Knight trailer. Kind of go over that.
Yeah.
I know.
You know, I used to be a lot more organized about these things.
No.
Man. back a very long time ago. Oh, yes, we will have a trailer overdose this episode for you. And it will be for the latest trailer for Batman Arkham Knight. I believe it's the Darkness Falls trailer. I believe it's the first one to show actual gameplay. Now, it's not the first gameplay footage to be released, but I think it's the first trailer that contains gameplay footage.
Right.
So we'll talk about that and break that down for you. Of course, that's a segment where Caitlin and I, you know, we kind of take a trailer, take it second by second, and kind of dissect it, break it apart, give our thoughts on it, that kind of thing.
There you go.
So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get right on into the Geek Out segment. So I will start. As we all know, it is now October. We were just talking a few minutes ago about how much we love this time of year in terms of the weather, right? Yeah. But along with that comes with, of course, one of the greatest holidays of all time, Halloween, right?
It's like the best thing ever.
Right? Isn't it?
I mean, it's a legitimate excuse other than a con to like dress up in a costume and people don't look at you weird. Right? Which is the best.
Totally. And, you know, we've talked about this I'm pretty sure we've had at least 2 or 3 Halloween episodes of Geekly Dose, at least 2 others. And I think I kind of, every time I talk about the costumes and stuff, which after Halloween, I'll tell you exactly what that is. Right now, it's got to be a secret because I'm the kind of person I don't like to tell people what my costumes are going to be.
Right.
And I don't know who listens to this, you know, so, but if you already know what it secrets. Is. Jesse actually already knows, unless he forgot.
I do know. It's just, I'm not a secrets guy.
True.
Like someone else we both know.
Yeah. But every year we go to this party, Jesse and I, you know, a friend of ours has this party and it has a theme. And last year's theme was villains, and I dressed up as the Green Ranger for that. And a year before that, it was wrestlers, and I went as the Rock. And this year's theme is cartoons. So that opened up this huge, very massive, expansive catalog of options.
Yeah.
But honestly, it didn't take me that long to figure out what I was going to be, because I decided, well, this year I don't want to spend a bunch of money on it, right? So I decided to use pieces of things I already own to kind of create something new. And I still had to buy a couple things. Right. But I had the most expensive parts of it already had. But it's been kind of fun because I've been kind of putting that together the past couple of weeks. I will say this. The character does have a sword. That's not a huge shock to some people, I guess. But what I have done is I actually bought a toy replica of the sword, of the character's sword. But it didn't come with a sheath, right? Or a scabbard.
Right.
So I made one. I've never done this before in my life.
Right.
But I made one out of foam and like cardboard and, you know, and stuff like that. I found this YouTube tutorial on how to do it.
Right.
And I just made one, and I'm actually pretty happy with how it came out.
See, and now I'm like racking my brain. I'm like, okay, cartoon characters that carry a sword. There's Lion-O,
really a lot.
There's He-Man. There's, you know,
it's He-Man.
Dude.
There's don't even go into, if you go into like the anime category, you'll be sitting there all day trying to figure out which one I'm talking about.
And that's like, knowing you as well as I know you, that would make more sense for you to be an anime character with a sword. But I mean, it always, for me, you talk
Well,
about.
I'll tell you. I'll say this. It's actually not anime.
Really?
Well, okay. I take it back. There's probably an anime version of it, but originally it wasn't.
Okay.
If you have any guesses at that, send us an email at geeklydose@gmail.com, and you'll find out if you were right or not. And I don't know, maybe we'll send you something,
Okay, so my guess,
something can be anything, by the way,
is Samurai Jack.
I don't even know who that is.
What?
Oh, is he from Inuyasha?
No. He was
from
an
Cartoon
action
Network.
Yeah, he was in Cartoon Network, and that was the cartoon name, called Samurai Jack.
Ah.
See, that's the more anime look at.
Now, see, if you would have said
photos,
if you would have said Afro Samurai, that would have been a more accurate guess.
Oh, you got to bring race into it.
Yeah, I gotta be a race
Hey,
thing.
Yeah.
A couple of days ago, I had a miniature Afro, so it would have been kind of accurate.
No, there you go.
But yeah, so I've been kind of working on that, and that's exciting. And I also have one more costume that I'm working on for another event that's going on. Ironically, that character also has a sword. I don't know, man. I think it's a coincidence, but
no, I don't think it's coincidence.
But
I think it's strategically planned.
That one is actually not from a cartoon, but it's still a character. It's going to be interesting to see if I can pull that one off because, well, I really can't say too much more about it because I think I'll give it away on accident.
Right.
But yeah, so other than that, I haven't really been doing much. I haven't played any games in a while. Actually, I meant to return Jesse's Diablo 3 back to him.
Yeah.
I just could not get into that game.
What?
No, I tried.
I'm so disappointed.
I tried. Yeah. But those games
really
just don't work for me.
Well, like I said, there's nostalgia there for me with it. And it is really a lot more fun when you have someone to play with.
And I could totally see that. But yeah, so that is my geek out.
Well, my geek out, since we're already kind of in that Blizzard vein, today the pre-patch for the Warlords of Draenor expansion for World of Warcraft dropped. They only extended the downtime on the servers by an extra. They had it planned for an extra hour and only ended up for an extra 30 minutes. And you're looking at me confused, so I'll explain this. Every Tuesday, they take the servers down, usually for about 5 hours, just to do maintenance, make sure everything's working right. Sometimes they make changes, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Well, this was a big patch. So they had background information already downloading prior to this so that once the patch went live today, it wouldn't be like, okay, we're sitting here for 3 hours downloading information for the game to even come up. So they threw that up. The patch went live today, and it's a lot of pre-information for the expansion. What's going on with the Dark Portal, what's going on in the Blasted Lands, different stuff like that, which if you play, World of Warcraft, you know what I'm talking about.
I do, but I don't play. I used to play.
There you go. So, it was really interesting because for those of us who have played what's typically referred to as vanilla WoW, which is the original World of Warcraft before any expansions, there was a patch that they had called the Gates of Anchorage, and they had this big event where you would take your professions, whether it was mining or gathering cloth or whatever, different stuff like that, and you would have to go donate it and all this kind of stuff to actually get the gates to open. It was like a long 2-month long thing, and each server opened up separately. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't going to be that massive of a deal for this patch before the expansion dropped, but I really thought that there was going to be more to it than there was. There's a total of about 20 quests, if that you do to kind of explain what's going on, why Netherguard Keep, which is the main Alliance base out in the Blasted Lands, is demolished. What's going on with the Horde, the Iron Horde are invading through the portal, mm-hmm. and all this, that, and the other. And I mean, it was somewhat informative, but all the quests took me about 30 minutes. So now I still have a month before the expansion comes out. Mm-hmm. And yeah, in some ways it's kind of good because they retooled a lot of the classes and a lot of the different abilities on the classes and took away stuff, added stuff, changed things. They reset all of your points to where, whereas before we were doing 1 million damage per second on a boss fight, you'll maybe tap out at 500,000. if that. So it's kind of weird. And a lot of that is because they did that because we were getting such big numbers on stuff. And so they had to kind of roll it back a bit so that we had somewhere to go,
right.
Point wise. So, I mean, in some ways it's good. So it lets you learn your class a little bit, over since they've changed things. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I still have a month before the expansion drops. Nah. So I don't know. And then the other thing that I kind of geeked out about, if you've been listening to the show since I've been on it, I'm a huge Joss Whedon fan, huge Firefly Serenity fan. And
not you.
Right? And so I found out they are doing a Firefly MMORPG. And it's literally called Firefly Online. It's set to release spring of next year. I want to say either May or March. And I'm really stupid excited about it because it's an MMO with Firefly.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is this week at New York Comic Con, they announced that it's actually going to be set in the timeline between the end of the Firefly series and before the Serenity movie, which means the entire cast is coming back to record for it. Wash will be there, Shepherd Book will be there, everybody. And it's so stinking excited. I can't freaking stand it. So they are in beta right now. The beta is open. It's not fully open. You have to apply to it, tell them what other betas you've been a part of, give them your system specs, all this stuff. And there's an email. I want to say it's keepflying.com, or it's either keepflying.com or keepflying.org is the website for the information on that. You can go ahead and register now for the Cortex. And I want to say they may have already closed this, so I'm not 100% certain. But if you get registered on their quote unquote Cortex before the release, you get an exclusive ship because they're going to have ships just like just like they would in anything else. So I'm really stinking excited. I'm so glad that the cast is coming back together. I mean, why wouldn't they? They love the series so much. That's part of what helped make everybody's careers,
right,
for the most part. And the only person that you really don't see from that series a whole heck of a lot is Ron Glass. I mean, which is Shepherd Book. Last time you really saw him, they give him a little bit part in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Last season. So, but I think that's completely by choice on his end. So really stupid excited about that. So that's my geek out. And that segues us into our next topic, which is the Destiny review. So what we did was we red boxed it because initially when it came out, everybody kind of, yay, no, like everybody that pre-ordered it or got it at release, there were so many mixed reviews on it that I was like, you know what? I'm not sinking $60 in this until I'm absolutely sure, despite how excited I am right now. So we red boxed it and we had it like 2.5 weeks. I was like, Redbox may not get this back. And then, we did that for two reasons. One, Clint wanted to play for quite a while, and then he went, I think, out of town to his parents, and I played while he was gone. And then when he came back, we went and bought it, and we played together because it's very much of an MMO. But at the same time, it really reads more like a first-person shooter. And I can understand why people had such mixed reviews with it, because I think people were really expecting it to be more MMORPG interactive. I think that was the expectation there. But that's just not what happened. It really reads more as a first-person shooter than it does an RPG. And I think that has more to do with the storylines and the cutscenes. But it's really, I don't know. I still enjoy it. I think I've gotten my hunter to level 20 because there's 3 different classes.
20.
Maybe 20.
Jesse, you have Destiny also, right? So are you close to 20 now?
I'm 17. I haven't played it in weeks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong.
I enjoyed it. It's just life gets in the way of these things. So.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it. But the reason I say that segues is that if you go into the main area, there's a bunker. I can't remember what it's called because it's been a week since I've played it. there's a main housing area in the center, and you go down into the building and you go in the back, and that's where your trainers are. The warlock trainer is voiced by the same woman who played Zoe in Firefly Serenity, and the hunter trainer is voiced by Captain Malcolm Reynolds, Nathan Fillion himself. And so it's really cool. And then you've got your HUD guy, that your ghost that follows you around, who is Tyrion Lannister, and which I absolutely love. I could listen to his voice all day.
Oh, so it's actually Peter Dinklage doing the voice?
It is Peter Dinklage doing the voice. And so there's a lot of people who are tied into this project, voice actor wise, that, I mean, it's just names upon names upon names. And it's like every name you, oh. And so, yeah, I mean, you can IMDb the list. It's a huge list, but it's really cool. It's a fun game if you've got some time to kill. There's a couple of things in there that you can, I mean, of course you can do any type of quest as a group. There are some open area things where you can just go around and grab different quests that happen to be in an area. And then you'll have in some of these open areas, like what we would typically think of in WoW as a raid boss, kind of drop in, and everybody's got to work together to take him down, and you pick up random loot and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of people have complained about, trying to get the legendary gear is a pain in the butt. And I can see where they're coming from, because I sure as heck didn't get any, but that may be something that drops typically at higher levels, you know? So like I said, I haven't been able to play enough of it to really figure that out, but it's all in all, it's fun. And if you've got a couple hours to spare, because you're going to get into it, it's fun enough to where you can really lose yourself in it for a couple hours.
Yeah, see, that's my problem with it is right now I need games with a finite ending.
Right. I need sleep.
Right. Well, I just need to feel like it's going to end somewhere.
Right. So, but all in all, it's fun. It's fun.
So how does it compare to Halo?
I wouldn't say those two compare at all.
No.
I mean, it's made by the same people, right?
Oh, yeah. It's made by Bungie.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
wondering, like,
graphically it looks like it, but the way the guns work and everything just doesn't.
So it's not even. I think some people were kind of worried that it was just going to end up being like Halo with like a new skin, but it's not at all. It's like that, right?
It's a little more Mass Effect than Halo, I would say.
Yeah, there's hit points popping up on the screen every time you shoot somebody, stuff like that. That's not typical of a shooter. That's more of an RPG style. So I haven't played versus people yet, so I don't know how quickly people die.
I didn't play versus people at all. I'm just not a PvP type person.
Yeah, and that's where the Halo really transfers. Like, the number of shots someone could take in Halo, I don't know if it's the same yet.
Right.
But if it is, then it'll play very much like Halo.
Right.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Well, that was Caitlin's review of Destiny.
And Jesse.
And Jesse's.
Sure.
Not much contribution from me because, well, come on. You already know what I'm about to say. Longtime Geekly Dose listeners know Tim Bridgewater does not really play games like that. And it's not because I have anything personally against them. They just don't excite me. I try them, and then I'm just like, I find myself sitting there just saying, I just can't.
You played Last of Us, didn't you?
Yeah. Is it a lot like Last of Us?
No. But I am going through the PS4 remastered version of Last of Us just because I like things pretty.
Yeah, I wasn't even crazy about The Last of Us.
Oh, really?
I mean, I played it once
really
and then I traded it in. I mean, it was not a game.
That's like a game with a finite ending. Yeah.
But
yeah, I borrowed it from somebody else.
It's totally a beautiful game and stuff like that. I thought I let you borrow it when I had it. And maybe that was Trey. I think I let Trey use it. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Because, or maybe you did. I don't know.
Did you play it twice?
I don't remember. I gotta look around and see if I still own it.
Okay. So on that note, we're going to shift over and we're going to talk a little bit, very briefly, about the Deadpool news and everything. So some time ago, early this year, there was a trailer that was not a trailer. It was sort of like
test
a pitch.
Footage.
Yeah,
like
sort of
test
pitch
footage.
Yeah, test footage that was quote unquote leaked because I don't necessarily believe that was the case. You know, of Ryan Reynolds doing motion capture for a CG Deadpool that is very accurate to the comic book. It's very rated R. He's chopping people's heads off and stuff.
Which it should be for Deadpool.
Right. It totally should be. Yeah. He's doing the whole breaking the fourth wall thing. I mean, this thing was released and set the internet on fire. Everyone's like, holy crap. why have they not made this film yet, right? Because this is the Deadpool that everyone has always wanted, basically. And it looks pretty awesome. I mean, it looks pretty realistic and all that stuff. So this test footage got such a great reaction, which once again was probably the reason why Fox, quote unquote, leaked it.
Yeah.
Because they really just want to see what people thought. And people
Good way to
loved
get
it.
it made.
Right. And now they're saying it's official. We're going to go ahead and put it into production. I think it's coming out 2016.
Yeah, February 2016. We do
yeah.
have a tentative date of February 12th. And so
Ryan Reynolds is not signed on officially, but it's pretty safe to assume he's going to reprise his role, which is it's not going to connect to X-Men Origins Wolverine. It just can't.
no,
Which that movie's kind of been wiped off the map now, thanks to Days of Future Past anyway.
I love that.
So now they can kind of reboot everything, including Deadpool. So that's another plus from that movie.
It's going to be in the X-Men universe. I saw the news on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. They did say that it still will be connected with the current X-Men universe.
Right.
So maybe we'll see one of the X-Men in this film. You know, maybe we'll see Deadpool in the end credits or sequence for X-Men Apocalypse, or just something that's going to tease his arrival.
Yeah.
So what do y'all think about that? I mean, what do you? I've never been a massive Deadpool fan. Like, I like him, but I never read any of the comics or anything. So I wasn't one of those people that was just like so, super excited about it. I was like, okay, cool.
He pops up in a lot of the Marvel cartoons frequently. Now, granted, these are kids' cartoons, so he doesn't get as R-rated as he would in the comics.
Right.
But it's still the breaking of the fourth wall. The jokes are still incredibly witty, and he's just fun to watch. He's hilarious. And so the idea of them doing a movie with him, it just, in my opinion, it makes sense, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah. He's always been one of those characters that you would think would have been pretty easy to make a film of, right? Like with all these other characters, you have to figure out this and figure out that. And with him, he's just like this fun guy.
Yeah, he's just silly.
Right. Now the question is that do you think it's going to be rated R? I don't.
I would hope it would be for them to do justice to Deadpool. However, I think it's going to be PG-13.
Yeah. I think they'll tone it down as, just below R, right? I feel like they'll push it just as far as they can go without going full R.
And they'll throw a lot of money
the
way of the MPAA.
Because if it was going to be just a standalone thing and not influence the other X-Men films and stuff, maybe they would do it.
Yeah.
But now that would be too big of a tonal shift between like the X-Men movies and this. If this was rated R.
Right.
So I don't think we're going to get that.
Yeah.
But how do you think they're going to handle? Because I know these movies don't necessarily have to make sense,
right?
Because they're mutants and all that kind of stuff. But the whole thing with him talking to the camera is just completely different, right?
Oh yeah.
So how do you think they're going to address that in the film?
He's going to look at the camera, he's going to talk, and then they're going to cut to someone he's actually talking to.
There's going to be some guy standing there.
Yeah,
typically, the way they do it in the cartoons is he stays full color, everything around him fades to black and white, and he does his thing. And then when he interacts with the rest of the world, it pops back to color. Everything pops back to color. So
that sounds a lot like Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah. And there is an episode of Ultimate Spider-Man where Deadpool shows up, and they both kind of do it, and it's really funny to watch. We've watched that episode way too many times. So, I mean, that's one way they could do it.
Yeah, like even that in a story sense has to make some kind of sense, right?
Yeah,
like it's very. Here's what I think they should do. I think they should just establish that Wade Wilson is just insane, which he kind of is anyway.
Yeah.
So in the movie, you can have him looking at the camera and talking, and we know he's talking to us, but the characters around him just think he's talking to himself because he's insane.
Yeah, that's
so.
One way
Then,
you can do it.
So they show you see him looking at the camera talking, and then it pans to a different angle, and there's just no one there, and then the other characters are like, "Who the hell is he talking to? This guy's nuts." So I think that's a way to have him do that accurately, without it being so, like weird storyline wise to try to explain why he's able to do that kind of stuff. But I'm sure they've got it figured out, or they're working on it. We're looking at a couple of clips now from Ultimate Spider-Man, which I used to watch, which I got to get back on it. Most of it's on Netflix now.
Oh yeah,
but it's pretty exciting because from what I've heard about this film is that it's not going to have this massive budget because it doesn't need one. You know, it's going to be kind of like that clip we saw, very grounded.
Animated, you think? I don't think.
I don't know if it should be though.
I don't think it would be if they're going to tie it in with another universe.
Yeah, as good as that looked.
As long as there's already talk about Ryan Reynolds because he did the test footage, and I think he would be great as Deadpool. But you've still got the stigma of Green Lantern, just a little bit.
This is true,
just a little bit. And if they do the CGI effects as heavily in Deadpool as they did. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of those effects were absolutely amazing in Green Lantern, but some of it was just, especially the suit.
Well, the suit just looked ridiculous.
Yeah, it was too
But we can see just from this test footage, Deadpool already looks like 5 times better than Green Lantern looked.
True, and I think a lot of that has to do with everything is CGI. It's not just a CGI costume and a head. Mm. I think that has a whole lot.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, that does play a big part in that. But that is the question, you know, what would be the benefits of making him CG other than just making him be able to do all kinds of weird, crazy stuff? But you can do that anyway. You can do that for the action scenes. And then when it's time for him to just be sitting down like he is doing on the bridge, it could just be Ryan Reynolds in a suit.
Right.
I mean, I'm not exactly sure what they were aiming for by going with CG. If anybody has any thoughts and opinions on that, suggestions.
For Deadpool?
Yeah.
Oh, it's cheaper.
So I don't understand. How is that cheaper than going with live action version?
Well, for that, I mean, it's just test footage for one. So they were just trying to get an idea.
Oh, for test footage.
So if they're not going to do it in the full thing. Yeah. To film that with actors and all the destruction they did, that would have cost a lot more.
Yeah.
But it's definitely cheaper even if they did a full movie, but it just wouldn't fit into the universe like they want it to.
Yeah. Yeah, he looked pretty good, but I think, you know, Ryan Reynolds is in fantastic shape. He always is. So I'm sure he'll look. They use his body anyway. So if they had him in there, I'm sure it'd be great. But we're excited to see where this develops, what happens next in terms of Deadpool. I'll be in the theater ready to check it out. So
oh yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to continue on with the Marvel news. You know, since we're talking about new films and possibilities of new films and characters and whatnot. Even though this is a different, I should clarify, Deadpool is a part of Marvel Fox, quote unquote. We're shifting over to Marvel Disney now. So it's all Marvel, but not the same studios. So don't expect to see Iron Man and Deadpool cross paths. Okay, but we're gonna switch over.
Fun as that would be.
So yeah. Okay, so a couple days ago, or last week, or something
about
like
a week ago.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. was on Ellen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she just kind of straight up asked him, so is it going to be another Iron Man 4? And he kind of like just played it off and whatever. And she kind of just like kept pushing at him. And then eventually he just said yes. And everybody starts cheering. So immediately, you know, these websites and news sites are just going crazy saying Robert Downey Jr. signs on for Iron Man 4. And I'm like, are you sure about that?
Yeah,
you know, I've told you guys before, I don't believe anything until ScreenRant.com posts it. And if they post it, they're going to have a big disclaimer in there that says this is not confirmed, that we're just reporting something that other sites officially reported. So, and then, you know, so everybody gets excited about that, including me, because I'm like, I watched the clip and I'm like, well, he did say yes. So that must mean it's true.
But he says things so very tongue in cheek that sometimes, and Ellen's known for, like, I happened to catch a clip in because I follow the Ellen DeGeneres show on my Facebook feed, and I just happened to come across a clip with her and Portia de Rossi, because there's this big thing right now about, are they pregnant? Are they finally starting a family? And so she played it really tongue in cheek, like, no, we're not, or are we?
Right.
You know, and so she has the ability to be able to poke fun at different actors and directors and writers and people who come on her show to like, are you or aren't you? And then still play it off as yes, no. Right. And he has that ability to say something and you think he's dead serious and everyone loses their minds when in reality he's, no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah. Of which
And that's kind of how
yeah.
this went, I think.
Mhm.
I think he said yes, and there was a little implied wink,
Yeah.
but nobody caught the implied wink, and everybody lost their minds.
So then maybe the next night or a couple nights later, he's on David Letterman.
Right.
And Letterman asked him about it, which if you haven't watched that clip, watch it because it's just really funny. because David Letterman, he just keeps like bringing it up.
Right.
And he's like, oh man, so no Iron Man 4, huh? Just really like,
right.
He just wouldn't leave it alone. It was just hilarious. But so he asked him about it again, and then
he's
said,
another one of those that can poke like that.
And this time he pretty much says no. And it seemed really believable. He's like, no, there's no plans for an Iron Man 4. He said that. Yeah. But he's saying that there's still other stuff. He's saying that he's not done. There are other things.
Well, and then because I know which Screen Rant article you're talking about, there is still talks because they want to extend his contract and he's open to it. And his words exactly are with the right payday.
Yeah.
So if the money's right, Iron Man 4 could definitely happen. Not only that, there's now been rumors as of 2 days ago that there's talks of Iron Man being in Captain America 3. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the same situation if the money's right. Because we had New York Comic Con this past week. And so a lot of people, there's a lot of stuff that has been thrown out. And people are like, he's reportedly joining, he is joining, and it's like, I think the want to is there on both sides. They just got to get their numbers together. Everybody's got to get their numbers straight.
Yeah.
Downey is completely in control of the Iron Man. He has final say on Iron Man, even if they recast it. He has, I want to say the Screen Rant article said, he has approval on if they recast.
Mm-hmm.
So he's and they're talking about going with the Civil War storyline if they bring him into Cap 3. So, which sounds really interesting. It's almost them doing the mutant registration. Mm-hmm. It's their version of the mutant registration. So that could be interesting.
Sorry.
I know we're all doing it.
Yeah, it's kind of right. And that could just be one of those things that he was hinting at by saying, maybe not an Iron Man 4, but there's still other stuff. Of course, we still have Avengers, The Age of Ultron. And then I believe he's actually even signed on for the third Avengers too, but don't quote me on that one. But we know for sure Avengers 2. And it's looking like it's going to be Captain America 3 now too. And everyone's kind of assuming now, based on all of these rumors and everything, that they're bringing him in there, like you said, because they want to try to adapt the Civil War comic storyline to the films. But a lot of people are also saying, people that know less about films are saying, no, that can't happen because Peter Parker is not involved. We know the comic book version was very different. Okay.
Right.
We know that like Reed Richards and Peter Parker and all these people were involved in there, but that's not going to happen. Well, it might, because there's another rumor here that Sony is actually possibly looking into possibilities of allowing Marvel to use Spider-Man in their future movies, because we all know that Spider-Man franchise with Sony went to shit.
Right.
And now they don't know what to do.
Right.
They're canceling movies. They're like trying to figure out what to do. And now they're saying, well, this may be our last chance, to it may be our last chance to actually get some money out of Spider-Man.
Right. And there's still there's also some scuttlebutt because about him coming into the season's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they're still filming that. And there've been quite a few. We've had Lady Sif, we've had Nick Fury. I think Renner is also talking about showing up. And I'm trying to think of who else. Maybe Scarlett Johansson, but I'm not 100% certain on that because she just had a baby. So, but I know there's definitely talk about Jeremy Renner. So,
I think if there's anything to take away from all of this is that Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man.
Yes,
he is Tony Stark, and he will be for another 10 years at least because I mean, no one wants to see him go anywhere. He's still young enough to play this character for another 15 years if he wanted to. And if he decided to kind of retire from making solo movies, which he may be doing now, he could always just show up in the others, like in Captain America 3, which they're also saying that if he's going to be in Captain America 3, though, he's going to have a big role in it. Because it's kind of hard to just imagine him doing like a cameo in a movie. I mean, he's,
right.
You know.
I mean, and the cool thing about him doing, or the upside for him on doing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a lot shorter time commitment. I mean, you're talking maybe one episode. So,
because it's crazy because they know what kind of star power he has as Tony Stark and in general. So if they say, Robert, you know, you can raise our ratings by 75% just by appearing in one episode, and we'll pay you this much, he'll probably be like, you guys have been good to me. Right. I'll go and do it.
Right.
You know,
I think
because I think he's got that kind of relationship with these guys now. I mean, Marvel Studios, they're not stupid. They know that he's the face of the entire Marvel franchise.
Right. Oh yeah. And he's gonna pull the money.
Totally.
He's gonna, you know, you're gonna get all the bang for your buck with him.
Which I can't help but wonder if that is true, how Chris Evans would feel about that. It's like, hey, wait a second, man, I'm Captain America and I have to share my movie with, he's gonna come in there and steal all the attention.
Well, but Cap 2, I mean, once we got to the end of Cap 2, everybody figured by Cap 3 that Evans was going to be handing over the Captain America title to
Bucky, maybe.
Yeah, Bucky anyway. So,
but that's not like I think if that's going to happen, it's not going to happen until, you know, Cap 3. So it'll be after Cap 2. I'm sorry, Cap 4.
Well, but I think Evans is done after Cap 3. Other than Avengers.
Well, I think his contract. Yeah, I think he may be only contracted for like one more film or something like that.
I mean, and there's 6 unannounced films already planned out for Marvel. So I mean, that still leaves a lot open for, you know, Iron Man 4 and you know.
And then there was the rumor. There was also the rumor that the Avengers 3 would feature completely different Avengers. Did you hear about that one?
No, I had not.
Yeah, they were saying that, and honestly, that rumor starts to make more sense if you think about the possibility of Civil War happening.
Right.
So now that rumor starts to make more sense, and now it's starting to lend a little bit more credence to it. It's saying that, you know, something's going to happen to where our main Avengers either split up or they have to go off and do something. And then meanwhile, they're getting like Black Panther and Doctor Strange and all these other people in there, and they'll be the star of that one. And then they bring back everybody for like Avengers 4, because they don't necessarily have to exercise these contract rights for Avengers 3. You know, if they're signed on for 4 movies, Marvel Studios gets to pick which movies those are. Right. So they could be like, okay, well, we don't want you to be in Avengers 3. We'll save you guys for Avengers 4. And that was also a rumor that they were talking about. But
well, Evans has said 2017, I'm done.
Did he officially say that?
Yeah.
Well, even if he did, you know.
But I mean, that still gives you a lot of time. But I understand why he said it, because I mean, he's filming stuff back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And it's at some point you're going to burn out and you're going to want to take a break.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. And a lot of people don't understand, you know, they're like, well, why wouldn't you want to play a superhero for the rest of your life? Well, try being those people and you're working nonstop.
Go ask Michael Keaton that question.
Right. You know, it does get pretty tiresome after a while.
So, yeah, but it's understandable.
There's a lot of stuff to look forward to. We know that for a fact. And they've been doing a pretty good job so far in this universe. So I'm excited about it.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we will totally see where it goes. Now we're going to switch over and talk very quickly about the Ghostbusters 3 news that's been out recently. Of course, there's been a ton of rumors about this film since part 2 came out.
Right. Everybody's been wanting Ghostbusters 3 for forever. And I think when Igor died, everybody just kind of went, oh.
Igor?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Egon,
sorry. There you go. And there's my screw up for the night. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Harold Ramis. When Harold
Ghostbuster.
I couldn't think.
My Ghostbuster friends would not allow me to allow you to.
I appreciate that though. But yeah, when shut up, it's over. Let's move past. But when Harold Ramis died, I think everybody kind of felt like
they thought maybe the idea died with him. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's why they're going in the direction that they are. It's going to be hard to bring those guys together and recast Egon.
Yeah, and there was always some speculation on whether or not they would even attempt that, because we know that Bill Murray was pretty much, he was the main one that was stopping the film from being made because he wasn't interested. They never gave him a script that he liked. He was never really interested in being a part of it. And Dan Aykroyd was trying to convince him to do it. And I don't know, somehow they came to some kind of agreement with someone, and now there's just new people, new writers coming in. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what happened to the script that Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis were working on all these years?
Right.
Like, they just throw that out, and now they've got like a brand new writer coming in there. And of course, the biggest, most shocking, quote unquote, piece of news is that it might be, and I'm going to say might because no one ever confirmed it for sure, that they're all going to be female.
Right.
And that's the big thing that's driving people kind of up the wall now in some ways. And I'm not exactly sure how to feel about it. Is it different? Yes, but it's only different because we're used to a bunch of guys. I'm kind of on the side that, like, I would love the idea of there being some female Ghostbusters, but I don't know if I want them all to be. Yeah, you know, like, I think
as a gimmick.
I think like 2 men and 2 women or something would have been great. You know,
right?
Like, I don't see why they all have to be women. Which, this is just a rumor. Okay, I know the writer tweeted something that made it sound like it was official, but you know how they like to throw people off.
Oh yeah,
just to get you to talk about it, right?
Right.
So it might not go down like that. But I'm excited. I'm excited that they're making another one, but of course, they have to tie it into the others. They're making it sound like it's going to be a reboot, which it probably will be, but it can still be a reboot and still be a sequel. You know, that doesn't mean it's not going to have anything to do with the other films. They wouldn't even be calling it Ghostbusters 3 if it didn't have something to do with the first 2.
Right. So maybe it's their kids have taken over the business or will be taking over the business.
Something like that.
You know?
Yeah. And I'm totally expecting, at the very least, Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson to be in there to, to pass on the proton pack.
I mean, because really the only females we had in the original movies was, oh God, see, and I'm not even going to throw out names. Dana, thank you. Janine. That was it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all we had. And Janine was the only one. I mean, Dana was in there, but Janine was the one who really worked with the Ghostbusters on a regular basis. Dana was there. I mean, if you remember the cartoons, it was Janine. It was always Janine with her weird, high-pitched, squeaky, aggravating voice.
Yeah.
But Dana was there as, for some odd reason, a love interest for Bill Murray.
Yeah, so we're looking through the cast now on IMDb, and like literally Annie Potts and Sigourney Weaver are like the only 2. I mean, not counting like extras.
Right.
Student. So I mean, we could definitely, I can see where they're going with this, and I can see why they would want to get some females in more of a position of power, because as awesome of a character as Dana was, she was kind of like the damsel in distress in like both movies.
Right, because she was possessed.
Right. And there's
in
like
one.
But she that was awesome though, that she got to be that badass and be possessed. But I could see that, you know, it's totally great idea to include females. I just don't want to see all female. There's just no reason for that.
Yeah, I'm on the I'm with you on that.
Just get us like a multi-ethnic, multi-sex group, and it doesn't even have to be 4 of them. It could be 5 or 6. I mean, the beauty of this is that they can make as many Ghostbusters as they want.
Right.
You know, so
there could be Ghostbusters from all over. They could have like incorporated sections, and we're Ghostbusters New York, and we're Ghostbusters Chicago, and
that actually exists now in I mean, it's fan film stuff, but that's a fan film cinematic universe, which I'm now a part of. Ooh. I've never mentioned that on the podcast before, but if you go online, there are fan film groups for Ghostbusters. There's Louisiana Ghostbusters, there's Alabama Ghostbusters. And Louisiana Ghostbusters is making a web series, which I've been cast as a part of that. So I'm a Ghostbuster in that world. So that's awesome. But the thing is that, like I said, like there are all these fans who have been creating this cinematic shared universe for years.
Right.
So, you know, it can be done. And I think they're probably going to try to do that, because that seems to be the pattern now with these franchises. They're saying we need to get into this shared cinematic universe thing, like Marvel and Fox, and even gosh, Universal's doing it now with the
Right.
monsters, like Dracula. They're going to do Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy is all going to be like one universe.
Yeah.
So that's like the thing now to do. So they'll probably do it with Ghostbusters too.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
But we'll see what happens with that. Rest assured that we will come back to that as more news is released. Okay, so very quickly now, you want to talk a little bit about the labyrinth and the...
Yeah, there's just this week, there was a Jim Henson Studios released this list of stuff that they were going to be working on. And the two that really got the most, the one that really got the most uproar about it was this Labyrinth sequel. Now, of course, I'm adding in Dark Crystal just because I really loved that movie, and I'd love for them to see a sequel to that as well. I know that I want to say it's Archeon Entertainment has a graphic novel series that they've done that extended the universe. But there's talk that there's going to be sequels, or that they are in a process of sequels for both of those with some other things. And everybody, the minute it hit that Labyrinth 2, everybody automatically wants to know, is David Bowie going to be involved? Will there be extra large cod pieces? Where's going to be the glass ball juggler? All that kind of stuff. And I'm cautiously optimistic about both of these because I want to say Dark Crystal was announced as a sequel back in 2011, and it's been kind of like the next Mortal Kombat reboot. It's just stuck in developmental hell, never ever to get out ever again. Mm-hmm. But they're saying within the next couple of years they're either going to work on it or release it, so that they may be in process of working on it. Now, I have not seen anything where David Bowie's been like, "Yep, I'm in," because I kind of feel like he kind of needs to be. You can't have Labyrinth without Jareth the Goblin King, and it just doesn't. There's one person within our current world who is anywhere near flamboyant enough to pull that off, in my mind, other than David Bowie.
Give me a hint.
He was an American Idol runner-up, and he just did a big tour with Queen and is about to go on tour with them again as their stand-in frontman.
Oh, never mind. I don't know.
Adam Lambert.
Oh, that's right, Adam Lambert.
That's the only other person that I could conceptually see in my head who is flamboyant enough to pull off the type of, singing and I don't know about acting. I don't know that I've seen that he's done any acting per se. I know he did. He starred in a last year's Halloween episode of Pretty Little Liars, but I don't know that he did a whole lot of acting in that. I think it was more in a singing, in the band or whatever, or with a band guest appearance. So I can't really speak to his acting skills, but flamboyance wise, vocally, if they had to recast it, I could see him doing it if they don't bring Bowie back. But in my opinion, I think they should bring Bowie back.
Now, did you say this is just a rumor, right? Or is it?
Well, the Jim Henson Company.
Substantiated rumor?
Yeah, it's substantiated. Jim Henson Company, like I said, Jim Henson Company, they released this list of things that they're working on. However, I don't know that there were any definitive dates for release dates, or this is where we are in the process, or so it's kind of
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, because we're talking about trends and things that are happening now in terms of like making shared universes.
Oh, yeah.
Another popular
everything
trend
old
is to bring
is
back,
new again.
They're going back into the vaults and finding these old like popular things that they had and trying to find ways to bring them back.
I mean, and it's kind of like The Princess Bride and I'm trying to think what else. Jim and all this. Well, not Jim, but I know The Princess Bride specifically. It wasn't a huge theatrical release. It theatrically wise, Dark Crystal, Princess Bride, all that, it didn't do great. But it's got such a cult following that in DVD, VHS release, I mean, everybody's got The Princess Bride. And if you don't, shame on you. If you were born or raised in the 80s, there's two things at least you should have in your lexicon of movies: The Dark Crystal and The Princess Bride. And throw in Labyrinth in there too, because you have to have that as well. So, in my opinion,
I don't have any of those.
we can't be friends anymore. Can't be friends anymore. I'm so disappointed.
Hey, you didn't watch The Simpsons, right?
Yeah, okay.
So
Have you at least seen them all?
I've seen The Princess Bride.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen Labyrinth or The Dark Crystal.
Dark Crystal was hard for me when I was a kid because
I remember a lot of frightening puppets and stuff, right?
The Skeksis were downright frightening. And so even I had a hard time watching it as a kid. Of course, I'm a chicken. I'm a huge chicken. I do not watch scary movies, which is weird for somebody who loves Halloween so much. But I think it's more of the dress up aspect. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I can't, like, I had nightmares for forever after seeing The Ring. You know, it's that bad. So I don't know. I mean, I hope it happens. I really hope they do a Labyrinth and a Dark Crystal reboot.
Sure.
Or not reboot, or either a reboot. I really don't want to say a reboot. I really don't want to say a reboot.
I mean, they could do it,
but a sequel.
Yeah,
sure. I really would love to see a good sequel on both of those. And so, but once again,
they did it with Tron.
Yeah.
And how old was that movie? Like 20 something years. I mean, you know,
right.
That's the trend now.
So I'd love to see really good sequels in both of those, but I'm really afraid, especially Dark Crystal. Like I said, I think it's been in developmental hell for I don't know how long, and that's just maybe where it ends up. But it'd be nice.
Okay. I can agree with that, even though I've never seen the first two. I don't think in their entirety. Jennifer Connelly was in one of them, right?
Jennifer Connelly was in Labyrinth. They're not universe-wise, they're not tied together.
But they are.
But they are Jim. They are
somewhat
similar. They're both done by the Jim Henson Company.
Okay.
Which of course does Sesame Street and the Muppets and all that
kind
of stuff.
I need to watch
just
those.
It's a very dark Muppet movie. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's
that's
really
an oxymoron.
Good.
Like, no, I get it.
Yeah, it's really dark puppetry, especially the Dark Crystal. It was a very, very dark movie, but it was really, really, really good. I definitely recommend it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna find someone who you apparently own them both, so let me borrow them.
I think I do.
Maybe they're on Netflix or something. I've never really noticed. It could be. I'm pretty sure Labyrinth's on there.
It should be. I have a huge poster in my room of Labyrinth.
Oh, cool.
Like the movie style poster, and it's all hand. This one's a print, but you can tell it was all hand drawn. It's not, pictures of stuff and smushed together. Oh, it's gorgeous.
Cool.
Love it.
Alrighty. Well, we're going to move on along, and we're going to give our quick thoughts once again. Flash is debuted now. Gotham is debuted now, and these are things that we've been talking about for months. I even think we brought up Gotham way back when Steven was co-hosting, just because we heard about it.
Right.
Yeah. So kind of have to give our thoughts on it now that it's here. So let's start with Gotham, since I was talking about that one anyway.
Right. So we're about 4 episodes in. I watched the premiere later on that evening. I caught up with the other 2 episodes yesterday, and then kind of watched last night's episode, but I was kind of ADHD with it. I was a little bit of everywhere, which kind of happens.
Won't spoil anything for you. We won't spoil anything.
No, won't spoil anything.
No serious stuff.
There are quite a few characters that we know about from the Batman universe who make appearances. I have to say, Cameron Benkendova, I believe is how you say her last name. She plays Selena Kyle, prefers to be called Kat. I think she does great.
I agree.
I'm really enjoying her. And I watched kind of a behind the scenes with her and how, she's been told before that she looks like Michelle Pfeiffer's daughter, and I can kind of see that. And I think she really kind of tapped into Michelle Pfeiffer's version and is doing really well, kind of honoring that first modern view that we got, since the 60s Batman TV show. Yeah. Really tapped into that real well and I'm really enjoying watching her as Catwoman.
I feel the same way about the the actor who's playing Bruce, David Mazouz. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, like, it's funny how the younger actors are kind of, to me, the standouts, at least right
And
now.
they're not supposed to be the focus that much.
And Robin Lord Taylor, who plays Oswald Cobblepot.
Yes.
Because that dude,
oh my gosh,
that dude is amazing. Which I knew he was going to be amazing anyway, but he's awesome. Those are the three standouts to me. And it's very interesting what they're doing here because, you know, I mean, it's not a spoiler to say that the first episode was Bruce's parents getting killed.
Right.
You been watching, Justin?
I
You
saw
haven't had time to watch anything.
while I drive, I watched this show, and I saw the first one.
Okay. I do have to say that I was not extremely pleased with the pilot, but it was a
I
pilot.
was pleased with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought, I mean, I had to get used to it, I think.
yeah,
And they had to introduce all the characters.
right.
So you got these really obvious sort of allusions to like, oh, that's the Riddler because he keeps saying riddles. Oh, there was a lot of
Yeah.
that in there.
Mhm.
But
And I don't even know if I knew that he was going to be in there, that Edward Nygma. And the way they brought him in,
Mhm.
I found very interesting because that's, at least in any of the comic books or Inceptions that I've seen him, that's not how typically.
right, I don't know if
he's-
he ever worked for the GCPD in the
Right.
comics, so that's
Right.
very interesting. Yeah,
So I thought that was
I like
interesting.
that. I like how they're
And,
tying it in so that they're
yeah.
there already. You don't have to force it.
And then there's other people that, oh wow, he looks completely.
Which he does a very good
different.
job too. They
Yeah.
just haven't shown him that much. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know that I like what they've done with Harvey Dent.
Well, he hasn't showed up on the show yet.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
seen him.
I think he has because I want to say I remember them referencing Dent, but I could be wrong.
I mean, they could have brought him up, but his character has
Yeah,
not
Harvey
showed
Bullock.
up yet. Yeah, there's Bullock.
Yeah.
I thought they
yeah.
did a good
Jim's
job with
partner.
him. Just
Oh,
reminds
yeah.
me of the animated version. which is
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Donald Logue is doing a really good job. The guy, see, they have Harvey Dent cast Nicholas DeGusto.
Yeah, they cast him, but he has yet to debut. I'm pretty sure, unless somehow I missed that. Let's see if we can
good. I mean,
find it out for you. Episode what? Well, he was okay. So he was actually technically, I guess, in
Yeah, he was in the Arkham episode.
which was
Which
the
I
one that aired
which I
this
haven't
week.
seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that aired Monday night, but they didn't reference him in it. Like no one has actually said his name. Like
No,
Harvey, what are you doing here? Like,
I want to say they did because I swore I heard it. I could be wrong. You know me, I get wrong.
but okay, well maybe like he definitely hasn't played a part in anything yet. We can
Yeah.
say that for sure.
But
right?
the way I guess it's just the thing is the way that I've always seen Dent portrayed, at least in a lot of the cartoons and everything, Dent and Bruce were friends.
Right,
There was that
yeah.
relationship there. And I don't know, maybe it's they're just not wanting to bring in any more younger actors than they have to because that's not really meant to be the main focus. So
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know.
we do have to say that they're taking some liberties with the show.
Oh, yeah.
There are everything's not going to be the exact. I mean, it's based on a comic book that has changed a million different times and it's different iterations anyway.
right.
So yeah, I mean, you're going to see some characters that are a little younger than they probably should be, they're older than they probably should
Right.
be.
And
We're in
then
a
there's
different timeline, huh?
Yeah, and then there's characters
Yeah.
who've never even been there at all, like Fish Mooney.
They
What's
did
the
create Fish
timeline?
Mooney just for the show.
Yeah.
The timeline.
Yeah. It's a modern day.
It looks
Yeah.
like modern day.
I mean, they've got
Yeah.
cell phones.
Yeah,
So-
See, that's
It's like
what's
modern day.
confusing me. I saw cell
Yeah.
phones, but they were like flip phones.
Mm.
But then I saw TVs that were like CRT
Right,
TVs.
right,
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't see any LED
They
TVs. I
could
was
be-
actually looking for them.
They could be trying to go for a timeless feel.
Yeah.
But it still leans more toward modern day than it
Yeah,
does.
because you got to go with whatever's newest.
Totally right. Yeah, but I can tell you this: they do a wonderful job of they've definitely created a world where I feel like Batman could exist in it.
Yeah.
And
I really like the way it's shot.
yeah, it's very like the world is pretty comic booky. Like the villains are just a little bit over the top, like those Gotham villains are,
Mhm.
and it's very gritty looking, and like it looks like Arkham City, the video game. Like that's kind of how the style is.
Right.
They even reference Arkham City in the last episode. Like that,
Mhm.
they use that in
Arkham
the
Asylum?
storyline. No, Arkham City.
Arkham City.
Oh, really?
Well,
as-
Arkham Asylum
in addition
is
to
in there
Arkham
too.
Asylum,
It's,
yeah.
it's a little both.
But they actually like use the words Arkham City to refer to this part of the city that they were like. So I was like, well, did that come from the game or was that something that came before the game?
Right.
Yeah.
I always assumed the game Rocksteady made that up,
Right.
but I don't know. But it's definitely a good universe. I can hardly understand what Alfred says half the time, but maybe it's just me.
And I don't know. I got real frustrated with him. I want to say the last episode, the Balloon Man, because this is the only thing I'm really going to spoil.
We're doing no spoilers, I thought.
I'll only minimally spoil it. When he realizes Bruce has hurt himself. And Bruce says, no, I'm testing myself. And he gets really upset with him and shakes him. Like, what is wrong with you? And you always see Alfred so fatherly and buddy. It just kind of rocked me for a second. I'm like, that's not Alfred. But you have to think about it. This is a man who's never dealt with children ever in his life. And now he is stuck with this 10, 11-year-old boy, 12-year-old boy, whatever, and has to figure out how to parent this child who is essentially his boss, even though he's guardian. You know what I'm saying? It's that weird dynamic of where do you cross the line between I am the adult here and I have to make you eat, or, well, technically you're kind of my boss and I'm your servant and I'm your butler and I can only make you do so much. And so he's trying to play that line. And so once I thought about it and processed it a little more, it kind of made sense because he does care for the boy. I mean, he's known him since birth. So, and everybody, as a parent, I can say there's going to be a point where you're going to want to shake the crap out of your kids. Everybody hits that point. And if anybody says they're not, they're lying. It's whether or not you actually do it and how hard you shake.
Well, also, I believe that there's certain versions of Alfred from the comic where he's like that, where he's like a former, he used to be in the military or something like that. And he's just kind of like, he's tougher than the versions we're used to seeing.
Right.
Now he becomes more like the Alfred that we know when he gets older.
Right.
Once Bruce is
and
like
that makes
adult.
And that makes sense, you know. And I kind of had to think through it.
Because at this point in his life, it's because of that tough love and him trying to teach Bruce to like dry his tears and stuff that kind of starts him on that path to being Batman. Right. So I think that's why they have him be kind of rough, which I'm okay with. I just wish I could understand what he was saying.
Yeah, he's got one
of those like serious like British accents,
Yeah,
like he's from Liverpool or somewhere. Like I don't know. But is there anything else we want to say about that? I mean, it started off a little bit slow for me, and I feel like it's getting better with like each episode.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing. Barbara Gordon, of course, is in there. She's got sort of a weird backstory that I don't know if came from the comic or not, but I won't spoil that.
I don't think so.
I was like, oh, that's new.
Really?
In most cases, it's his daughter.
Well, they also have a daughter named Barbara. They also name her Barbara.
And at this point in the show, they're engaged. They've been together for quite a few years, and they're engaged. So it kind of takes place before all that.
I was having a little problem with Ben McKenzie in the beginning too, who plays Jim, which he's grown on me though. He's grown on me.
Yeah.
I think it's just because the very last thing I saw him in was the OC, even though that was a long time ago.
Right.
Like I hadn't seen him in anything in between, so it was a little shocking and it was a little weird. But he's grown on me there. And Jada Pinkett Smith is awesome on this show.
Oh yeah.
I just wish the character was a little less, because it almost feels like too much sometimes. I feel like
I'm a bad guy.
Like, yeah, she kind of borderlines and gets to like comic book villain with the way she delivers some of those lines.
Yeah.
But she's still like great though, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, I just wish she would tone it back a little bit.
Yeah.
But they're setting up some interesting
And I like
things
that they've brought in both Falcone and Maroni.
Right.
They brought in both of those,
Totally.
Especially as of this last episode.
They're kind of driving the plot right now. Like it's really kind of revolving around the two of them, Fish Mooney and Oswald Cobblepot, in a way. And like the Riddler and we only saw Poison Ivy once so far as a kid, so she's not really doing much. Like, I don't know how they're going to handle these from season to season. It just got extended too.
Oh,
like
good.
Fox just ordered 6 additional episodes to make it a full 22 episode season. In the beginning, it was only 16.
Yeah.
So that means it's doing well in the ratings. And I think if it keeps going in the direction it's going, it's definitely going to be a good show to keep an eye on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's kind of fulfilling to really just see little Bruce Wayne kind of develop, and you start to see these tendencies in him,
right?
And he's doing all this weird stuff.
And I think that's another thing about Alfred. I mean, he wants the kid to mourn, but he wants him to move on and be tough, but still be a kid.
Right.
You know, and so there's that fine line in that as well. So I think the ensemble as a whole is playing off of each other very well. It's all like, dang, I don't even want to say that. I don't want to spoil anything if anybody hasn't seen anything.
Well, it's still
I'm
pretty
gonna put
early
it to
in the
you.
season,
I'm gonna put it to you this way: the end of the third episode, the cliffhanger from the end of the third episode, which is where last night's episode popped in. That was just awesome.
I don't know why I'm not. Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Hi. So yeah, I figured those little clues. It was great. And they are making Oswald Cobblepot so psychotic in not in that over the top comic book way. It's wonderful.
Amazing because the Penguin has always been one of the lesser interesting Batman villains to me.
Right.
You know, because it was just seemed like, well, it's this guy and he's had a hard life and now he's a criminal.
Right.
You know, but like
they're really building it.
Sure, totally. Like I'm surprised that they're spending that type of character development on the Penguin of all, you know, because you would think
it's overdue.
The Joker or somebody like that. Was
right.
there, you know, I don't know. They've been talking about doing the Joker, but apparently there are these little hints. They try to allude to him like every episode somehow.
I want to say they kind of alluded to him in the first one, but I need to go back and rewatch it.
The comedian guy.
Yeah. That was apparently
he was totally
there was
supposed
a lot
to be
of
a possible Joker. Yeah.
There was supposedly a lot of Easter eggs in that first episode, and I haven't even been. I did see an article like, here's the list of Easter eggs from Gotham.
Oh yeah, they'll just point them
episode
out.
1, and I'm just like, I don't have time to sit
I think
and read all
the
this.
only one that I like actively noticed was there. I forgot where they were. There was a street called Grundy Street or something like that. I was like, oh, Solomon Grundy.
Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't. I was just too busy listening to dialogue.
There was another one. No, there was one in.
I mean,
Flash,
apparently there was a lot of them, but. Well, speaking of Flash, let's go ahead and switch over to that. Since we're talking about DC and everything, let's keep it going. Very much unlike Marvel, as far as we know, Gotham and Flash are not related at all.
No, so, I think they've purposely said these two will not tie in at all.
But of course, Arrow and Flash do.
Right.
And they confirmed Supergirl too.
Right, but
which we talked about that.
We talked about that last episode.
Now that's official.
Yeah, that's official, but I don't think those are going to tie in to anything at all.
I don't think so either. So it's kind of weird that, you know, DC's they're getting a lot of TV stuff going. Constantine also, but only the ones on CW right now are actually
gonna work
be in
together.
The same universe.
Well, and they almost kind of had to with how season 2 of Arrow went with bringing him in and introducing Barry Allen to begin with. So, and I liked that, you know, we've got one episode. Okay. If you're watching this live, there's the second episode airing right now, or it's already over by now. So we've missed it and DVR'd it, but we've got one episode from last week under our belt. And I like that. If you haven't watched it, I'm gonna try not to spoil too much, but I like that it kind of threw back to the Arrow episode. There was a nice nod of the last time Barry Allen showed up in the Starling City. Thank you.
Yeah, which it's actually not a spoiler because that was in like the trailer.
Yeah, but you weren't sure exactly how it was going to work in, and I think they worked it in just at the right spot very well, and so. It was really good. And I like that if you watch the Arrow premiere last week, which we'll get into in a minute, they ended up airing the Flash premiere right after it. They did a replay. Yeah. And so that was kind of nice to see with the night and they almost kind of had to. It almost made me wish that they were airing them both on the same night. You know,
can I say how glad I am they're not doing that now though, because it just gives me something else to watch. Because I'm like, Gotham's on Monday, Arrow's on Tuesday. Flash is on Tuesday, Arrow's on Wednesday, and then Supernatural comes on after Arrow. Right. So I've got like something to watch like for those 3 days in a row.
Right.
And then I think there's something that comes on Thursdays that I watch too that I'm not remembering. But
I have no idea.
then it's Walking Dead on Sunday. Man, this is a good time of year.
Oh yeah, this is like the best time of year is series premieres.
But did you see Flash?
No.
Well, you haven't even caught up with Arrow yet, so
no.
Which is now on Netflix. Season 2 is on Netflix. And the cool thing is there's plenty of time for you to go ahead and get caught up on Arrow so you can start season 3 because CW and Hulu
what is this
usually put
the
okay. You have plenty of time as far as
normal people go.
Well, no.
If you take a good week in between the episodes, you could like watch all that stuff and still catch up since the season just started.
You've got 4 weeks now to get caught up before you miss episode 1 on the CW's website because they usually do the last 5 episodes. So you've got about 4 weeks to catch up on season 2, and then you can get caught up on season 3 by going to the CW website or Hulu Plus. So
just don't have that.
you'll be free.
I'll be free November 14th.
There you go.
That's still plenty of time.
But the Flash premiere, so I liked it.
I liked it too.
Pretty exciting. I mean, right away you know it's a different tone from Arrow,
right.
Which it totally should be, which is fine. But at the same time, you still believe that they can exist in the same world, especially when they find a way to make them meet each other again. But it is kind of weird they went directly into the powers thing. They just no building up to it. It's like first episode, Flash gets his powers. There are villains. People are blowing stuff up.
Right.
Like I felt like that was a little quick, but I guess they just really wanted to establish what kind of world this is right off the bat.
In my opinion, because he woke up so fast and they're explaining it all because of the lightning bolt and all this other kind of stuff, in some ways it made sense. As opposed to Smallville, where it made us wait, 3 seasons before he had a third power. Like he had his strength and he had his speed. And then we went 2 or 3 seasons without icy breath and x-ray vision and heated vision. And then we had to wait until the very end of the flipping series for him to even figure out he could fly. I mean, in my opinion,
well, that's a different story too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I kind of like that. I mean, he really kind of technically only has one power. It's just how he develops. It's not even really him.
I guess I guess I was a little surprised that like all of a sudden like Weather Wizard or whatever his name is in comics was there. I just like
but you have to
it just seems really convenient when like, oh, our hero just got powers. Oh, what a coincidence. So did this villain. Oh,
that's not how they explained it.
Well, no, I know that they both got their powers due to the same thing.
Phenomenon.
Which makes sense, but it's just still a little I don't know if I wanted to see him fight a villain in the pilot.
Yeah.
That just seemed like a little too early for him to be in the suit already fighting a bad guy on the very first episode of the show. Like I just felt like it was kind of fast,
Maybe not a powered bad guy. I mean, there's got to be a villain.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But maybe I kind of see what you're saying. Maybe not a powered bad guy.
Yeah, I didn't want to see a guy controlling the weather like that fast, Like,
let him save some robbing banks.
Let's build up to that,
Yeah.
Right. But other than that, it's pretty awesome. And I don't say this a lot because, I don't usually compliment guys. But Grant Gustin is a good looking dude. Like
he is.
There was that scene where he walked in, when he woke up, he walked into like a coffee shop or something to see Iris.
Yeah.
And the dude just walks through the door looking like freaking like an Adonis or something. And I was like, this dude is like too good looking. But the funny thing about him is that even so, he plays the shy, awkward guy who doesn't feel that confident about himself so well.
Right.
Usually you don't get that from guys that are really good looking. They're like egotistical, and the fact that he can still play it off and come off like
that's kind of the fun thing. If you're weird like me and like the show Glee, that's the character that he played. He played Sebastian in Glee, and he was very much a villain. He was very much, I'm good looking and I know it. And his character was gay. So it was, I can get any guy I want to, and possibly half the girls as well, even though I don't want them. That was kind of the attitude that he had within that show. So to see him be able to do the complete opposite, like Storm gave me abs, and so I'm kind of cute and fat now, but I'm gonna be really awkward about it.
But he's so good at that, and like I see why they were so excited.
It's very much the Felicity character in a hero.
That's true.
You know, that's kind of how, and I think that's why him and Felicity work so well together.
That's very true. But it'll be interesting to stay tuned and see what happens. You know, I think I've said this before that Flash is one of those characters that I never really knew much about, so I'll be learning a lot about the Barry Allen version from watching this myself.
Right. And then of course his dad is playing the older version. And I did like the scenes that they had with with the man who plays his father being in jail.
Yeah, which I don't really know his name, but yeah, he played the Flash in the original Flash TV show that came on for a little bit. Yeah. So nice of them to include him for that. What do we think about the running? Do we think all the effects look good? I thought they looked good.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I think they did it real
well. There was a special part of that sequence where he's well, that might be a spoiler. Okay, but no. Like just pay real close attention to the running because it looks very good. I mean, it's always been something kind of a challenge, you know, showing that visually without it looking really cheap and just being a blur across the screen.
Right.
They find real creative ways to actually get in there so you can see him and stuff like that, you know. So I thought it was cool. Right. That was very cool.
I'm kind of over.
I can't wait to get home and watch it, which won't be tonight. I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow.
Oh, I'll definitely be watching it tonight. I mean, because by the time
early in the morning.
Well, I mean, by the time I get home, the kids will be asleep, so I don't have to fight for. They should be. So
hint,
nudge, nudge. If my husband is watching, like he typically does. So, I mean, you know, we have duct tape in the garage if you need that. Just, you know, a couple strips over the top of the bed, you should be fine. But yeah, I mean, I think all of those scenes, especially the scene with him and his dad when he's in jail. Oh my gosh, it was gut wrenching and it was great.
Yeah, it was very well acted.
I think so too.
So I mean, it's off to a very good start. I feel a lot better about that pilot than I did about the Gotham pilot. But Gotham is definitely getting to that point. I'm just excited because we've got like 3 cool comic book shows and plenty more to come.
Way,
right?
You know, which really quickly, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has started off really good.
I have heard that it has,
and we've got lots coming. I love what they've done with the Ward character. You could probably I'd still recommend going back and watching at least the last half of season 2. You could probably, I mean, you're pretty quick on the uptake, so you could probably figure it out if you just jumped in the beginning of the season. But
the truth is about that is that I've just lost interest in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well,
now
that's understandable.
But at the same time, I still feel like I want to check out Agent Carter when that starts. So if I like that, then maybe I'll be like, okay, I need to go back and watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because maybe they referenced something in there.
They did in the first episode of this season. And I think some of the things that they're bringing into Agent Carter and this season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to be based off of that first episode because they do reference Agent Carter and some things that she did within the initial S.H.I.E.L.D. Upon its inception, because she was apparently one of the first agents. And so I would definitely recommend going back and watching at least the first episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you'll be able to figure out some stuff fairly quickly, you know, of what's going on. They're not too vague about stuff to where you feel like, okay, I have to go back.
We will see what happens, but this DC TV show universe has just got me. So like they would have to pull off some amazing stuff to come close to Arrow.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who watches both,
right.
Would you say Arrow's better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? You have to think about it? Wow.
Yes, but I think it has more to do with, not to say there's more characters that I'm interested in within the Arrow universe as a whole than there is in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Arrow's, don't get me wrong, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is dark, but Arrow is quite a bit darker. Right. And if you saw the first episode of Arrow, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, I mean, they're not afraid to kill people off, but it still seems, I don't know, there's a darker tone even in the filming of Arrow versus Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Totally.
It's still a little too bright. I don't want to say bright and happy, but it kind of reads that way.
It's on ABC. They can only get so dark.
Yeah,
on a Disney-owned channel.
If it was
7 p.m. or whatever during the week.
Yeah, I mean, if it was on Fox, it'd get a lot darker. But it's still good. Don't get me wrong. But in the grand scheme of things, and I kind of tend to lean toward the much darker type stuff. I just find it, the noir, what have you.
Totally.
And so it's a personal preference.
Totally.
So.
Okay. Well, if you haven't checked out Flash yet, what are you waiting on? While you've listened to this podcast, you're clearly not a geek. So
no.
Anyway, no, check out Flash. Amazing pilot. It's going to be an awesome show. We'll get back to Arrow in a moment. We'll get a little bit more in depth on that. But before that, we're going to switch over to Trailer Overdose, unless I'm forgetting something.
Well, the news on the Trailer Overdose is that it was a leaked demo and has since been taken down. However, there was someone online that took that leaked footage, mixed it with the other trailer, and that's what's been popular. Because
what was? I thought I saw something like that they posted from the official page, or maybe that might have been old. I don't even.
Yeah, the official
I thought
page.
It was new for some reason.
You're not even a fan of the official page.
I am.
Not according to this. You're a fan of one of the fan pages that had it on there.
No, I'm most definitely a fan of that page.
Yeah, you're not a fan of this one either.
Unacceptable. Of course, neither am I. But
well, I'm not either. But yeah, or maybe it just lists.
I don't think it's going to tell you all your friends that like it.
No. Well, anyways, I went back and didn't see it. So unless they took it down because it wasn't supposed to be up. However, this one with the mashup or whatever has some gameplay footage, but it's not the official thing.
Well, then it may be something we already talked about, because I think we did talk about the very first trailer when it came out. So we'll just skip that.
Yeah,
who cares?
If you want to,
this is Geekly Dose.
Yeah, if you really,
we'll
have questions about it or something, just hit us up, geeklydose@gmail.com.
Whatever I saw looked fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's no secret that I'm going to buy the game the day it comes out. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about pre-ordering like the big like $200 thing where it comes with a Batmobile replica and all this stuff. But that's gonna be kind of hard because I don't even have PS4 yet, so I'm not trying to spend $700
in a drop. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody wants to buy me one. Email us at geeklydose@gmail.com.
So yeah, and if you have any questions about stuff like that, want us to trailer overdose something else or any type of questions, suggestions, hey, you should talk about this. And if we don't know anything about it, we'll check it out and be happy to give you the 411 on what we think.
Exactly.
So.
And we will do that. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and shift over to our main event. And we're going to talk a little bit about the season premiere of Arrow. It will contain spoilers.
Yep.
Just because, we're like 3 seasons in now. So sorry.
Yes.
If you haven't watched Arrow yet, please go watch Arrow. Okay. Because now we're going to just
I think we say that like every episode.
I know.
Because we talk about we talk about Arrow. You and I talk about Arrow as much as you and Steven talked about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's how this is breaking down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you definitely haven't watched, I mean, there's no excuse, like I said earlier, for you not to get caught up. The first 2 seasons are on Netflix, fully on there. And there was like there was a hiccup with the second season. It was supposed to be released the same time as the DVD release, apparently. And there were some dates that got mixed up with Netflix. And I figured that, it was kind of shocking to me that Netflix would release it the same day as the DVD. So I'm not surprised, but I knew they would have it up at least the day of or the day before the season premiere. And they ended up releasing it the day of the season premiere.
Yeah.
So, that's all happy hunky-dory. And like I said, cwtv.com, you can catch on all the old, usually the last 5 episodes. So at this point, with last week being the premiere, you've got about 4 weeks to catch up on season 2. If you haven't been watching it before, you're going to miss season 3, episode 1. So you got some time.
And there you go. So go get caught up on it if you haven't. So at this point, we're going to talk, we're going to transition to a spoiler-filled review of the season premiere of Arrow's season 3,
Episode 1.
Episode 1.
Episode 2.
So very exciting premiere.
Oh,
I mean, the
so many
episode
things.
started off with them just like in action, which I thought was
Right.
cool. It's just like, we're not going to even ease into this thing. It's just going to open up on like Oliver, like running through the streets or on a motorcycle or something. And, you know, they don't waste any time in showing us Roy. Roy comes out with his fresh new Arsenal/Red Arrow, whatever
Which
character he's
was-
supposed to be now.
Which we had
outfit.
seen it. I mean,
We
I
had seen
think
it,
they're
right.
still I
Mhm.
think they're still calling him Roy.
Right
but
now.
But yeah, rumor is they're going to change the name to Arsenal. But
Arsenal,
that freaking costume is badass.
It is. And so is he. And,
Yes.
yeah, it just was a very cool sequence. You know, we just
Yeah.
got to see everybody doing their part. The new Team Arrow here. You know, even Felicity was doing her thing on her end, and Diggle was driving a truck, and it's just like, this is what we've got. And it starts on a very positive note. They're talking about how like they're taking down all the criminals, like the crime rate has gone down, and it's like
Yeah.
they're just wiping them out. But then it kind of takes a shift, right?
You get that well, for those of us who've been shipping Olicity for the last 2 seasons, you get that nice little thing, you know, about I can't remember what the line was, but everybody's there in the Arrow Cave or what have you, and she's like, well, I bought you a bed, you know,
Yeah,
and
they
they
kinda
had
had
that
that
cute
little
little moment, and Roy and Diggle are in the back going, oh dear God, would you just make out and just get together and do it already? Which is kind of how we all felt, those of us who were,
Yeah.
you know, all for that. And so then Felicity leaves. Roy, they start talking about Thea. Roy's like, I'm going to go patrol, and because I just don't want to have anything to do with it, because he's still conflicted. He feels like he pushed Thea out of town. And so Felicity leaves, Roy leaves, and him and Diggle have this moment, and they talk about being, you know, Diggle being Daddy Diggle, which was so cute, and that baby was so cute, but that's later. Anyway, so and Diggle kind of points out, dude, just do it already. You know, there's something there. You legit love her. Well, no, that's something that I said so that Deathstroke would overhear. And he's like, really, dude? Really? And so he gets it in his mind that, yeah, I can have a life outside of this world. And so he asked her on a date.
Yeah.
And so
they're going through this process of like trying to help him get Queen Consolidated back, and she's
Right.
helping him with that. And then like they go to a meeting, or maybe after the meeting or something like that, and he asks her out,
right
to dinner.
before, I think
Yeah.
before the meeting, because of
Yeah.
just knowing how the meeting turned out, which I was kind of shocked that they threw in what's his-
Brandon Routh.
Yeah, Brandon Routh that
First
soon in this
episode, yeah.
season. I was like, wow. And so, and I thought it was interesting how they brought him in, you know, because you see Felicity, she's working at an electronics store because she's got to work somewhere,
Mhm.
you know, and they bring him in like that.
It's
I was
just like
like,
a customer.
yeah. And then all of a sudden he walks into the boardroom like, oh, and didn't have any place to park my helicopter. I used your roof. Y'all, you know, validate, right? And you're going, you know, and so it was really kind of interesting how they brought him into there.
Mhm.
And yeah, Ray Parker just really demolishes him in the meeting, and it's just like crap, you know. And so that was kind of good. And then all of a sudden it's, you like Italian, right? They're fighting somebody else, and it's, you like Italian.
Yeah, and I
don't you?"
talked about this before. I've never been like a huge fan of the Oliver and Felicity thing.
Yeah.
But this, I don't know, this episode kind of made me want it to happen a little bit, because I
Right.
started to see like, well, man, it's kind of cool.
It's
'Cause
interesting
you
how
want
they
them
play
two
off
to
each
be
other.
happy,
Yeah.
and you're just like, you seem like you're making each other happy. So then if that's the case, then I'm all right with it.
Right.
You know, but then of course they yank it from you, because they set it up just so they can yank it from you. And then the reason why
I
they
don't-
did that.
Right. The reason why they did that is because, you know, they had the explosion at the
Right.
Italian place, and then he gets guilty and feels like it's his fault.
Mhm.
And so then he, you know, they go Diggle, you know, he bans Diggle from going on the thing because he's going to be a father and I can't risk you out in the field. And then
Yeah.
of course his now ex-wife that he's back together with, however that works, goes into labor, and Diggle realized, yeah, I have something to live for. You know, I have to be more careful with how I do things, not to mention if I would have been out there, I would have missed the birth of my child. So, which is how I read the scene.
I thought that
it's
was
not
a little
exactly
weird
how
that
he
it
said
happened
it.
that night. I was like, well, that's kind of convenient.
Well,
but it's a TV show, and for the sake
Yeah.
of story, they got to
right. And
yeah.
so it was really cool. And then after that, you know, you have Felicity and we have Ray Parker ambush Felicity in the hospital, and then she goes and they meet up, and everybody sees and ogles the baby, which was so
Is that his name?
Ray Parker.
You sure it's Ray Parker?
I believe. Oh God.
I'm not, because I'm thinking, what's Roy's last name?
Oh God.
And isn't Ray Parker the guy who did like the Ghostbusters theme, or am I making that?
Yeah, no, you're right on that one. But
So I don't. That's why I think it's not that, because I feel like I would have made that connection sooner. It's definitely Ray something though.
Yeah, it's definitely Ray. I got that part right. Hang on, IMDb. See, this is the hard part about when Jesse leaves the room, because we don't have somebody to look this stuff up really quickly. Oh, jeez. Let's see.
Okay, but while you look that up, I saw.
Yeah, you go ahead.
But yeah, so you know that we do definitely got the Oliver Felicity stuff, which was cool. But then of course they kind of break that up for the sake of a story, which was cool too. And I thought it was a little weird how they brought the Vertigo stuff back up. It's like all of a sudden there's like a new Count Vertigo when we already had one, but it's like a guy who's like taking his place. Like it was, I don't know if it was the best choice for a villain for the first episode, but then again, they have to save the real big bads till later on.
Oh yeah,
because they always did have that villain of the week sort of thing.
We already know who the big bad is.
Yeah,
well, do we?
Who do you think it is?
Ra's al Ghul.
Okay, but
because they've cast him,
they have,
and they're going to put him in there. So I don't see why.
But is he going to be more of a voice behind the scenes, or is he going to be like an active villain?
Well, they've shown him in preview teasers.
But you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the season, it's got to be someone that he defeats.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's not going to be Ra's al Ghul, because he's going to. There's no defeating him.
Right, and we've still got Thea, and we've still got
Malcolm Merlin.
Malcolm Merlin out. So, and we're not really sure how they're going to be. You know, what kind of capacity they're going to be in at this point.
Right.
Ray Palmer. I had the PA right. I had the PA right.
I was watching it on my phone.
You ran back in.
And it came back in. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you said that, and I was like, the guy who wrote the Ghostbusters theme? Like, what is he doing on Arrow?
I guess there's not much of a delay since it came out before y'all figured that out.
Jeez.
But yeah, so we get to catch up with some of our characters, right? This is kind of like a new day in Starling City, you know,
right.
Like Laurel kind of like brings Oliver to this press conference that Detective or Commander, Captain, whatever he is now, Lance is doing.
Yeah.
And he kind of thanks the Arrow. So that's new because, you know, for the most part, he was still a vigilante that they wanted to apprehend. But now they're saying he's going to call off the vigilante task force, bring him back, and so that was a big deal.
And that he's going to be, you know, an acknowledged, not member of the police force, but
they refused to hunt him, right? Because he like saved them like yet again and all this kind of stuff. And,
you know, that he's going to work with us. We're not going to sit there and work against him for all the good he's doing, especially after the big fight scene of the end of season 2.
We have to mention before we get into the big thing that happened at the end. We also have to kind of mention the fact that now, you know, as far as our flashbacks go, Oliver is now in Hong Kong. I was about to say,
one I know.
I can't remember if it was Japan or like
he's in Hong Kong. Because I tried to think that I kept trying to think that he was in Tokyo, and I'm like, no, right. He's in Hong Kong.
Yeah. So there's that, which is definitely going somewhere. You know,
right.
We basically just kind of see him trying to escape.
Right. He continuously you see him escape once, and they make allusions to, you know, this is the 10th time you've tried to escape. What made you think it was going to work this time? And you see Amanda Waller show up, and she's like, you're going to work for me. And she finally figures out what it is that is going to keep him from escaping. And basically what they do is you see one agent who is the one who apparently they allude to, he's the one who continuously catches him and takes him down. and they knock him out, and he wakes up, and he's in this home, and it's completely different from the last time that they woke up in a he woke up in a flashback.
Right.
And there's an Asian woman there who's taking care of him, and he tries to leave, and the agent shows up and tells him, "You're in my house and you can't leave." And he's like, "You can't stop me." He said, "You're right." He says, "Physically, I can stop you, but the thing that's going to make you stop is the fact that if you leave," he's like, "I can't let you leave, because if you leave, they're threatening to hurt my son," which, and you see the cute little Asian kid walk in. And so, and his hand comes off the doorknob, and he's like, "Crap." So he realizes he's effectively stuck.
Yeah. And see, what this is going to lead to now is that guy is going to end up training Oliver, right? Like, that's what I'm kind of
continue his training,
right? Because
Shadow
in his world,
Deathstroke.
Only 2 years have gone by since he came back from the island, right? Yeah, he's been in Starting City for 2 years, and that was when he came back. It had been 5 years since he was gone for 5 years,
right?
So it stands to reason that he's only 2 years have passed in his flashbacks. So that means he still has like 3 years left. Well, I guess he's going to be in China or wherever they try to bring him to that point. So he's still got
at some point he's gonna probably end up either back on the island or adrift at sea somehow.
Right. Because we do in the pilot for episode 1, he's there with the beard and everything. So he does get back on the island somehow. So man, it's so cool. It's gonna be so cool just watching to see how all that stuff happens and how he gets back there. Yeah. But so we've got that to look forward to in terms of the flashbacks. Now we have to talk about
the big thing at the end.
How excited I was. I was like, oh, Sarah's back, right?
Right. She's like, why are you shocked? I haven't been gone that long, which was in the season trailers, basically. And so, and she comes back and she sees Laurel. She
does get a few moments.
She sees Oliver.
Yeah, she does get to talk to Oliver and Laurel.
And she gets those nice, little moments with Laurel. "Don't tell Dad I'm here. I'm just taking care of some stuff, and then I'm leaving again. I won't be here that long." And then Laurel's like, "Okay, cool. Well, I've got to go to work. Later. I've got a meeting." And she's walking out, and next thing you know,
she gets shot by like 3 arrows in like the stomach
and falls off of the building.
So she's definitely
right
dead.
In front
like
of
there's
Laurel.
like no doubt. Like there's no way she could have survived that. I don't think.
Okay, and this is, and there's somebody in a hood that you see.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I'm thinking Ra's al Ghul could be one of the big baddies, or he's a little more involved.
But we know he's going to be, yeah.
Then
I don't know if
because Lazarus Pit brings anybody back.
Does that exist in the Arrow world?
They haven't said that it hasn't.
Right.
At this point, they haven't specifically mentioned it, but I mean, of course, they can't specifically not mention it. Say like, well, there's no such thing as a Lazarus Pit, So it's not like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Well, of course they're not aliens. That would be stupid. It's not anything like that. But I mean, she was with the League of Assassins. It stands to reason that if she left before and Ra's al Ghul was upset with her and sent Nyssa after her, I mean, although she did say she was there on an assignment, what if she was sent on an assignment to be killed, to be brought back, to be taught a lesson? It's a bit convoluted to some extent, but
I do think Ra's al Ghul is behind her death. The question of whether or not that was actually him doing it himself is what I'm wondering, because it just seems like he would be kind of like
it could be Nyssa
behind the scenes or something.
It could be.
You think Nyssa would have killed her?
I don't think there's any reason to. Yeah. But I mean, she was so intent upon killing her when she first showed up, unless she came back. She's like, you either come back with me or you die. And it was very much a sense of, it was kind of a mixed up sense of, if I can't have you, no one can, versus you have a duty here.
But even then, she was going to kill her mom, right? She wasn't even going to kill her.
Right.
Sarah poisoned herself to get,
right.
to try to stop Nyssa from doing it. So like, I don't think it's her. I do think it's a league. I think it's league related. It's definitely league related.
I mean right. Yeah. And even Malcolm Merlin, I mean, he was part of the league at one point as well. So it could just as easily be, because did they say Merlin ever left the league?
They alluded to the fact that Ra's al Ghul was not very happy with him because remember, what was Oliver's mom's name?
Oh Lord, Queen, Mrs. Queen.
Yeah, we'll just call her Mrs. Queen. Because Mrs. Queen, she threatened him. She was like, I know some people that would pay a lot of money to get you back or something like that.
Right.
And he's like, how do you know about him or whatever? And they were talking about Ra's al Ghul.
Right.
So he was probably excommunicated from the league or something
for
himself.
whatever reason.
Right.
Yeah. And I want to say they went into that, but it's been so long that I think they may have fleshed that out a little bit more. Moira, thank you. And but I don't know.
But yeah, so that's kind of the big mystery now, is that someone showed up and apparently killed Black Canary / Sarah Lance, which I'm
Laurel
right now I'm believing that she's dead.
Yeah.
Just because it seems like then it just opens up this path for Laurel to go on to eventually become Black Canary because she's so torn up about her sister being killed. It gives her a reason to try to get involved in this thing other than just being a lawyer.
Right.
So I feel like they probably felt like they had to kill her in order for that to happen, which, you do what you have to do, but I'm gonna miss her if she is dead.
Yeah. But I mean, there's plenty of room for flashbacks. I mean, they're bringing back Tommy. Tommy's going to be in some episodes this season in the flashbacks because Tommy apparently runs into him while he's in Hong Kong. So, and I mean, there's room for Moira to come back in flashbacks of some sort. I mean, there's, the way the flashbacks work with this. But Katie Loitz and Stephen Amell are both going to be in New Orleans in January for Wizard World Comic-Con.
I've been trying to make that every year. Hopefully this time.
This year, I'm like, I don't care if I have to go by myself. Like, I'm even planning to cosplay. I'm really, I have of course, I need to continue my DDP yoga and get in a little better shape other than round. But if I'm able to do that, which I'm trying really hard, I'll be going as Harley Quinn.
Oh, cool.
There was one of the Comic-Cons recently where they did like an alternate cover and she was like in boy shorts. It was just really, really cool take on Harley Quinn. And so that's the one that I want to do.
I want to go too. So at the maybe I'll go with you.
That'd be
I was supposed to go to the last one and then like our X-Men video premiered there and stuff. And I had to miss all that, which we might. I heard the plan was that we were going to try to shoot something like every year to enter in that thing, just because you get like free entrance and stuff just for like getting if they accept your video. So it's like, let's just shoot a short like geek related something every year and get like free entry to this con.
I'm in.
Yeah. Which I have like a couple things now that I could probably wear to that too. So, but anyway,
what would be cool if we could work it out?
What's that?
Podcast from Comic-Con. From New Orleans in costume.
Oh, it's totally possible. It probably wouldn't be that hard either.
That would be awesome.
We'll work on that for you guys, but you got to send us a lot of emails and leave us a lot of positive ratings and send us money and PlayStations and 360s and all kinds of stuff.
No, Xbox One, no 360s.
Oh, sorry.
We've got 360s.
Yeah, see, I'm so like
free
that
stuff.
That goes to show you how much I care about
Microsoft.
Xboxes. Anyways, is there anything else we want to say about Arrow?
It's awesome, and if you haven't watched it, go watch it,
please.
Which I think we've said like a lot, but still,
yes, very, very exciting premiere. So between just like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, just gonna be like the greatest back to back.
And then Mondays with Gotham.
That's right.
So
good times. Awesome. Okay.
Awesome.
Well, that does it for our review of the season premiere of season 3 of Arrow. You have any questions, thoughts, concerns about that? Of course, you can send us an email at geeklydose@gmail.com.
Or hit us up on Twitter at AwesomePods or anything else for that matter. That
is correct. Go over to facebook.com/awesomepods. Check us out. We have a lot of other podcasts. Well, not a lot. A few other podcasts. One being 80s Revisited. Take a blast to the past with 80s Revisited. They talk about 80s movies, some changes over there. Jesse's now co-hosting that along with Trey.
I'm still just producing. Trey's by himself now.
Well, he just kind of chimes in and helps Trey.
Right, yeah.
But it's still going strong. We're in Halloween horror month now on 80s Revisited. So nothing but 80s horror movies. I always love this time of
Nice.
year because I like to listen to those as well as all the rest. So you can check that out on Stitcher.com as well as iTunes. I don't know, some other places.
Yeah, sure.
I do another podcast called Republic City Report. It's a Legend of Korra podcast. That's back now. If you watch Legend of Korra, you know that it's back already a month later for a brand new season. So if you want to hear a lot more about that, you can head over and check out that podcast. There's also a Facebook page, Republic City Report on Facebook. I'm Tim Bridgewater. You can find me at facebook.com/Tim Bridgewater2. You can follow me on Twitter at Tim Bridgewater1.
You need to
And that's
settle
about
on
it.
one thing.
It's hard, man. I've tried. Thanks to that politician. There's a politician named Tim Bridgewater. I didn't think about that.
As far
really?
as I'm concerned, you're the Tim Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Or Timothy Bridgewater, or
I want to say I tried that. But,
Tim Dog Bridgewater.
Timmy Bridge.
Tim Dog Bridge.
well, at least they're all Tim Bridgewater. So if you type that in, you'll find me and the politician. So shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, should be fairly easy.
Yes.
So, and I'm Caitlin Franks. You can catch me, Oriana75, both on Twitter and on YouTube. And I don't remember my Blizzard stuff. I know it's Oriana pounds, I think 181. So you want to play some WoW, if you want to play some D3, I'm kind of in and out of the seasonal stuff with my demon. I just got a Demon Hunter maxed. And so just if you add me on BattleNet, that's totally cool. Just kind of throw me a little message. Hey, I listen to Geekly Dose, just so I know where you're coming from. So I'm not thinking gold spammers.
As always, we don't know what the next episode is going to be. We just assume a month from now. I don't know.
But the more emails and tweets we get, the sooner.
That is very important.
And I know we talked at one point in time about doing a podcast maybe for the Flash. So if that's something you'd be interested in, or maybe us doing either a Flash cast or
It's kind
something
of late
like that.
now, I think.
Well, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but I mean, we could still
Yeah,
do it.
I honestly thought about that. I thought about that and Gotham, and I realized that I don't have time to. I mean, I could find time.
Okay, if you want to see a Flash cast, I will do it. I can do it from my house. I actually have some setup stuff that I can do.
Yeah, what threw me off is that The Legend of Korra came back like 5 months before it normally would have come back.
Right.
So I was like, well, I have to do this weekly now. And plus with the other stuff, I was like, well, I don't know if I can squeeze another podcast in there.
Tim
But,
is a very busy man. I have a little more time, believe it or not.
never say never. And if you want to see any of that, let us know. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I think that about does it for this episode of Geekly Dose. So until next time, I'm Tim Bridgewater.
I'm Caitlin Franks.
Jesse Sedgley.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time for your next dose.
Oh, no.